talking about gold pretty much every week. I haven't really issued trades on it for you guys. I just say I buy it, I hold it, I love gold. Sin, awesome, Cynthia. Good morning, Kathy. Check out gold, Brad. I'll read that. That's a longer message. I'll read that here in a second. Check out gold futures this morning. If I can get my screen to move up here with me. Pretty neat. Let me close these out. So gold, here's gold futures. If you're in Thinkorswim, it's /GC. So let's go to the 5 minute. Check this out. Look what happened last night. Gold went on a tear. So here's the gold futures, right? We've been trading around that 2,900 level. Went crazy. Almost hit 3,000 on the futures. Pulled back since then, but we saw something similar the other day. Popped like crazy to 2,900, pulled back, and then ended up going higher. Same thing back here. Big pop, pulled back, went higher. So gold is just on an absolute tear right now. Look at this trend. I mean, look at this. Since the Newton flipped green, up, and away. Um, I mean, we almost hit 3,000 today. Here, just to give you an idea, here's the 3,000 mark. So we are not far off from that. Really interesting in the gold market. I think it's kind of in a win-win spot. I showed you guys in the Thursday sessions how gold typically runs in pairs of two. And what I mean by that is like years consecutively. So when gold has a 20% plus year, it's typically followed by another 20% plus year. So 2024, I think it was 20, or I think it was like 30% last year on gold. And typically that's followed by another 20% plus years. So that's why I'm really bullish on gold. Also, if you look at the environment, world global tensions, right? We have the whole BRIC situation. We have China buying up gold. A lot of big catalysts going into the gold market there. Inflation, gold's a good hedge against inflation, so that's a catalyst there. Also, gold rises when interest rates are cut. Every single time interest rates are cut, gold tends to soar. So it's kind of like a win-win-win situation in my picture, in my just what I'm seeing here. Or I think gold will keep going higher from here now. If you look at this, it's already up almost 10% year to date. Um, but I still think there's a lot of room for growth here in the gold market. Anyways, what do I prefer to trade or what do I prefer to use when trading gold? I just typically use GLD. I mean, you can use the leverage stuff, you can use the miners. I just use GLD. As a matter of fact, in the lightning trades, we have one open on gold, up 187% right now. It was one of our hedges in that portfolio. So typically just use GLD when I'm trading gold. No problem, Sean. Do I think Powell will lower rates? I think in time. I don't think that time is yet. For my wrap and elite orders, when do you let it expire and when do you sell it? Fiona, I let it expire when it's in the money. This happens every week to me. My microphone falls off. I'll let my wrap and elite trades expire when either A, they're all the way in the money, meaning I should max out my profit when they expire on both ends, with the double exercise, or if I'm all the way wrong, I'm down way out of the money, basically no hope of survival. I'll let it expire worthless. I'll sell it if it's somewhere in between, and I don't want to risk being exercised on one end and not the other. All right, I had a big question here from Brad. For ANET, to receive maximum return, do you need to hold until it expires? Yes, that is correct. Brad, you will need to hold it until it expires. Say it stock closes on February 14th above 121 at 126. Would you make a for a better return? No, the thing about the wrap trades and the elite orders, Brad, is there's a max profit potential. With that said, the minimum movement you need in a stock to hit that 100% move or higher is much lower than buying calls. We talked about that in the last few classes. A lot of times, Brad, in the case of ANET, I think we needed a 0.7% move to double our money, get a little more than double. If you were to buy calls, you need about a 5 to 7% move. So you need about 1/10 the size of the move to double your money. That said, if ANET goes up 10%, you're probably going to make more with call options. Thing is, that happens once in every, in a blue moon. I'm doing this every single week. So hopefully that answers your question, Brad. Pal does talk today at 10. He testifies today, and I believe tomorrow. We also, let me just pull this up for you guys just to show you. We'll talk about it on Thursday. I teased it in Telegram. We got a big week in economic news. We have some earnings, yes, but not as big. Like it's not like the Mag 7 earnings. But this is the biggest stuff, the biggest news this week. Let me pull it over here. Get this out of here. So today, right now, Powell speaking. He's not going to lower rates or anything today. He's just going to kind of give his overview. Tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. we have CPI. This is the biggest economic report right now, the one that matters the most. It used to be the interest rate decision. Right now, everybody pretty much knows what the interest rate decision is going to be, unless we get an obscure reading here with the CPI. So this is the biggest report of the month here with CPI tomorrow morning. We also have PPI on Thursday, which is kind of similar to the CPI. It's not as impactful, but it's still very impactful. Retail sales on Friday. But this is the big one. CPI tomorrow morning. Of course, I'll post about it in Telegram. If you're not in Telegram, let me go find that link. Which, Deanna, I always seem to misplace it. So if you have it quicker than me and you want to post that in there, be my guest. But I'll probably find it here in about 3 seconds. One Mississippi, two Miss. Okay, maybe 5 seconds. Oh wait, I think I bookmarked it. All right, here we go. I did for this very reason. If you guys don't have Telegram, here's a link to join. Chai, when using Newton, is our decision making involve purely on the chart? Never mind bar chart opinion. I don't look at the bar chart opinion, but you totally can. The great thing about indicators, especially Newton. Some of the other things we produce, like Roger's got a really powerful one. Lance has a really great one. A couple other, Jack has a really great one. They're built to work really great on their own. But to Chai's point here, when you have another indicator that you really like and like to use, a lot of times you can kind of use them together in tandem. It's like looking through two lenses at the same time for double confirmation. Um, so Chai, if you like the bar chart opinion and you like to pair that with Newton, that is totally awesome and great. That's not necessarily what I do, but that doesn't mean that's not what you can do. All right, so we'll dive in. Now, keep in mind, guys, Newton is my personal indicator I built. Not everyone here is going to have Newton, but regardless if you have it or not, I can walk you through it. I can show you how it works. You can actually, I'm going to give you so much information that if you really wanted to, you could probably figure out how to recreate it on your own. Now, it probably won't look as pretty as mine. It'll probably look all nasty looking, but we worked hard to make it look awesome for you guys, plus build out the scanners. But I'm going to give you guys everything that's built into it today, just so you really understand how it works and what we're looking for here. Mary, is Newton good for swing trade? It definitely is. It's my favorite way to use it. So let's walk through it today. Plus, we'll do some live trading. I got a couple good signals that just popped up. I just pulled up the scanner today. So it's a new way to quantify momentum and time up nearly perfect entries and exits on any stock out there. Plus, it can work for day trading too. I'm not a huge day trader, but I'm going to show you how it's built for day trading. The cool thing about Newton, and this isn't a sales presentation or anything, guys. This is educational here. We're going to do live trading. The cool thing about Newton, though, is that we back tested it on pretty much any time frame you can imagine, just to make sure that it was very, very powerful, no matter what time frame you use. So I believe in the case of NVIDIA, it was like on the 5 minute chart, it was like an 81% win rate. On the 1 day chart, it was like 82%, and on the 1 week chart, it was like 81% win rate. So again, we're trying to make sure it works for all time frames and then across many of the large cap stocks specifically. Now, it works great on any asset, but it's specifically tested for your large cap S&P 500 type of stocks. So over the last year or so, I've been building out in live trading with a new tool designed to quantify momentum in a way that we've never seen before. And that's really important, quantifying momentum. It's something really hard to do. You can't just visualize a chart and say, momentum is good or bad. I actually want to know what the number is behind it. Now, you've probably heard me talk about this tool recently. I call it Newton, and it's been able to single-handedly help us get in early on some awesome picks like GEV, which I've got a couple trades open on GEV. I've got a huge stock position open on GEV. I got it gifted to me at 140, but look at this. When Newton flips green, that means a buy. So these candles automatically change colors. Red means sell or stay away. Yellow means you're on deck waiting for that green entry. Green means buy. And look at this. This is GEV. It's been a rocket. It's been an exceptional stock. I'm up 173% on it over like a year. I don't even think it's been out for a year. It's been a rocket. Oklo is another great one. Again, a very exceptional stock, not something you see every day. This was one of my nuclear picks. I gave it out in Exotics Club at $8. This screenshot's old. This screenshot says $17, guys. Let me pull up Oklo today. There you go. You want to see how Oklo's doing now? It's at $53. I gave it here in like September at $8. Maybe it was October, somewhere here in this range. Newton flip green. I mean, it's been a monster. That thing is crazy. 562%. What about gold's rally? I just showed you gold. Newton's been all over it. But not only has it handpicked some incredibly powerful investments, but also great swing trades on HWM. HWM is one we've traded quite a few times, and you can see when it flips green, you buy. When it flips back yellow, you sell. You can hold till red. I'll walk you through it all today. But typically, I'm buying on green, selling on yellow, and it can tip off some really great trades. Or how about Bitcoin? I use a variation of this on my perfect Bitcoin trade, but this is the core strategy behind the perfect Bitcoin trade. Us getting in on momentum moves. Plus, we've used it on day trades. Kava, Nvidia, Carvana, some of my favorite stocks right now. It's been very powerful on MicroStrategy. We used it there. So today I'm going to walk you through how Newton works, why it works, and when you should apply it, or what rules and guidance you should use when looking to place a trade with Newton. Plus, I'll give you some trades to take today as well. So let's start with the how behind it works. And I'm just curious here in the chat, who here has Newton and has been able to use it for more than a couple of days now? I know we normally get about 5, 6 people joining a day. So just curious who all here has Newton. Oh, quite a few people. Awesome. So this will hopefully help coach you through how I like to use it, how you can use it. And if you don't have it, you can always join later. But if you don't have it, some of this might not make as much sense, but it will make sense when you watch the recording after you become a member, maybe today, tomorrow, whenever you decide to jump on in. So let's start with how it works. In this first section, we'll be covering swing trading. So this doesn't apply to day trading. I'm going to cover day trading next, but this applies to swing trading. Swing can be anywhere from a couple days to a couple of weeks or even months. I'm going to walk you through it all. Now, on any time frame, so if it's 1 day or longer, 1 day, 2 day, 1 week, 1 month, etc. When you're using Thinkorswim, Newton bases everything on two EMAs. Those are exponential moving averages, and this is for swing trading. This is how the thing was built. So when you're looking at a 1 day time frame or a 2 day, 3 day, 4 day, 1 week, etc., anything longer than 1 day, it's built around the 5 day EMA and the 16 day EMA. So the basis is looking for a crossover. Now that's not everything, but that's just the backbone of how it kind of starts. So here's how it looks on a chart. If you're looking at Newton unhidden, so let me pull up NVIDIA here. So if you look at NVIDIA, let me hide this over here. So let's look at like NVIDIA, for example. This is how Newton actually looks, right? Like I said, I try to make it real pretty, easy, and simple for you to look or to look at. So you just know buy on green, sell on red. This is just for measuring momentum. I'll cover that in a second. But if I were to unhide what's going on behind it, you'd see these lines here. All right. Those are the two EMAs, which are the backbone of Newton. So that blue line here represents that 5 day EMA, which is a little bit tighter exponential moving average. And then that yellow one is a 16 day EMA. Now you might look at this and say, whoa, those are two pretty fast moving EMAs. And you're right. Typically, you'll see people use a 20 day and 50 day. I don't like that because a couple reasons. All indicators, in one aspect or another, they're price action indicators, yes, but they're also looking at data that already was printed on a chart. So if I'm looking at a 50-day EMA, I'm just going to give you a rough estimate here. Instead of getting my entry right here, it probably would have come up in here. So the reason I use quicker EMAs is to get us in earlier on moves and out earlier on drops. The longer your EMA, the longer it's going, the more delayed, I guess I should say, the reaction will be to enter and exit. So that's why I use these really tight EMAs and work the best when testing as well. Now, the same case is for the weekly charts, and the period automatically adjusts in the code. So it's built into the code that it's going to automatically adjust for you. But if you're looking at anything daily or longer in your period, it's still going to use that 5 period and 16 period. So if you're looking at a weekly chart, which I'm going to talk through why this is really powerful, it's going to be the 5 week EMA and the 16 week EMA. Again, you're not going to see these on the chart, but it's built into the code. I hid it so it looked a little bit cleaner for you guys. So the 5 and 16 combo is the backbone of our momentum calculations. All right, that's not everything. Just because the 5 is above the 16, right? It doesn't turn green just when the 5 is above the 16. There's more that goes into it. For example, you can kind of see here the 5 is above the 16, candle's yellow. Or here, 5 is above 16, candle's still red. So let's walk through what actually is going on. So the one thing we want to see, the first thing we want to see is the 5 above the 16. However, just because that short-term momentum exponential moving average is above the longer term or the medium term doesn't make it an entry signal. The secret sauce is in taking the difference of the two EMAs. So we don't just want to see the blue line above the yellow line. We want to see it gaining space between the two. So we want to see it not like this. So like crosses above and is flat. Not really interested in that. We want to see it going like this, almost parabolically separating. I don't want to say parabolic because that can sound scary, but accelerating faster in the short term, if that makes sense. So the way we calculate that is in order to get the entry signal or higher than average momentum, we want the 5-day above the 16-day EMAs and also an expansion of at least 1% or greater to get us that confirmed entry. So the difference between here and here needs to be 1% or greater. So like, let me see if I can find a cleaner example. Actually, I don't show the EMAs on hardly any charts. Um, so like here, it wouldn't have been 1% or greater. See, this one's yellow. The blue line crosses over the yellow, but it doesn't give us an entry because it didn't have a big enough expansion over the two. The gap between the two lines is not big enough. Versus here, see how it starts to separate? That's where we get the green entries. Find another example here on this chart I would show you. I've got my EMAs hidden, so it's going to be hard for me to show you here. However, if you have the Newton lower portion of the indicator, so this thing down here, this will show you the number, the percentage of the expansion. So down on the lower study, see these bars? So look, let me just show you here. It might be easier just to show you in real time. I'm looking at NVIDIA right here. Just zoom in right here. You can see, let me drag this up. This will give you the reading. So here's 1%. So in the EMA, 5 EMA is at least 1% above the 16 EMA. That's when we get our green entry. So this one just crossed it. That's when it goes green. Here it was 2% above the EMA, and so on and so forth. And then we're green as long as it's at least 1%. Look at how big that goes. Boom, boom, boom. Keeps going, keeps going. And then momentum slows down. See how the EMA is starting to tighten up here eventually till it drops under 1%. And that's my exit. I'll walk you through it. But that's what this lower portion does here. So let me just walk you through it step by step. Down here in the lower study, it'll show you the difference between the two EMAs. It calculates it for you. So the 5 EMA, when it's lower than the 16 EMA, when it's below, well, that's going to give us that red signal. It's going to be less than 0% above. Obviously, it's going to be a negative reading. Now, if it's a weak stock, you can short it. I'm going to walk you through the rules here in a moment. However, red means stay away, right? Nobody is at a stoplight and sees red and thinks, time to go, right? That would be the opposite. So, like a stoplight, red means stay parked, stay out. I'll talk to you about buying puts if you want to here in a second. However, when the 5 EMA crosses over the 16 EMA, right? So we're starting to get a positive move, but it's less than 1% away from each other. So they're real tight. Haven't expanded yet. That's when we're going to get that average momentum reading. That's that yellow candle. And that typically means that we're just on deck. Kind of like a warning shot in a positive way, like a heads up. Or, you know, you're batter, you're on deck, warming up, getting ready to wait for that entry. So see it's red here, flips yellow on deck. We're not entering yet because sometimes you'll get, for example, here a yellow and then it's back to red. That's why we don't enter on yellows, we enter on greens. So here, when we have the 5 EMA over the 16 EMA, but we don't have a big enough expansion, that means we're on deck waiting for the bigger move. And then when everything comes together, the 5 EMA is above the 16 EMA, and we get that expansion. See how this starts expanding? Woo! That means we enter. Green means go. We can go long that stock. I'll walk you through the rules on stocks to maybe trade, stocks to avoid, because trading is an art, guys. It's actually a science and an art, I should say. I'm gonna teach you the science of it and the art portion of it, but I don't, there's 7 stocks today that entered green, that flipped green on Newton when I started this presentation. I'm not trading all 7. I'm only going to try and pick the best of the best. So, yes, green means go long. It means go. It means enter. To the upside, I say if a strong stock here because I only want the best stocks out there. Let me go ahead and open the chat here for a second. But before I do that, let me just remind you, the candlestick colors automatically correlate. So technically, you do not need the lower study on your charts to know when to enter and when to exit. It's just a cool visual to see that that momentum is expanding. or here in this case, momentum starting to decline. We're still long. Stock is still going higher, right? But it's kind of like that diverging RSI typically means might be time. The market might be cooling off and ready for a correction. Again, you can just wait until the candle turns yellow to exit, or you can exit earlier. Up to you. So let me go ahead and open up this chat here again. Sorry, a lot of questions. Oh, little hammy cramp there. Woo! I get my workouts in before doing this, and they are exhausting. So, how can you get Newton? We'll cover that in a moment. What platform does Newton work on? It works on Thinkorswim. Dave is asking, I'd like to know what to do when one time period is green and the other one is red on the same stock. I will cover that in a moment, Dave. Why the 16 instead of 13 or 21? So we have combo Fibbo number. This was just the best in the testing. I tested on probably 50 different stocks, multiple time frames, and this one came the best across all the stocks. David, you can't see my screen. You guys should be able to see my screen, I believe, right? Scott, I just picked a random time in NVIDIA for that example. How do you change the candles to yellow? Jim, they should be yellow when momentum is average. Chai, I said 7 entered green today. I'll walk you through in a second here, but the scanner. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 now that have flipped green. I'll walk you through that in a moment. This is on YouTube, Patrick. Does the scanner identify the momentum stocks? Yes, I will get to that in a second. All right, cool. I will keep on rolling here. So what's going on here? Well, Newton is not only calculating a short-term trend, right, with those EMAs crossing over. A lot of people trade crossovers with maybe simple moving averages or exponential moving averages or plenty of other things. You know, you've got the MACDs, stochastics, anything you can imagine. So it's got a crossover built into it, but it's not just a crossover pattern. It also measures the acceleration of that move, and that's kind of the most important piece, something that most people leave out. Because again, you can't really visualize the acceleration of a move. If you're looking here, you can maybe guess, but by the time you see that expansion, you're looking at a candle right here, again, late on the entry. Here, it doesn't even look like there's much of an expansion. So this is doing all the work for us. So, for example, when it first flips from red to yellow to green, right? Red to yellow to green, that first green stick is pretty close to that 1% reading, right? So it's just popped above that 1% confirmation entry. But because this is an above average momentum play, that acceleration is most likely going to continue to the next candle. So that's kind of the beauty of this. Notice how most of these, not all of them, not every trade works out, but most of them, when we flip from red to yellow to green, it kind of does a little burst up the hill. That's what you're going to see because momentum is flipping at an accelerated rate. It's not just chugging along on a normal crossover pitter patter and nowhere. It's supposed to find accelerated moves and momentum. So look at this, how it climbs here. Look, entry, climbing. If you look down here, climbing, climbing. And notice how the stock explodes accordingly, right? Because we're seeing momentum flip. It got us in right here. Nice big move. So think of it like this. This was actually something I talked to a friend of mine, Chuck Hughes, a while ago about, and he had a great analogy for this. And I thought, you know what, that is just an absolute perfect analogy that I want to share with you guys. So in the beginning, imagine that red candle, right? No momentum. A plane is on the ground, on the tarmac, not really moving. That's like when a stock's momentum is negative or neutral overall, right? So it's red there, parked on the ground. You're not going to want to buy the stock right there. Nothing exciting about it. It's probably at the gate waiting for people to get on. All right. But then the engine starts roaring. You're on the runway and the plane starts to gain steam. So momentum has completely flipped at a crazy accelerated rate. Think of the acceleration of a plane down the runway. That's like when the 5 EMA first crosses the 16 EMA and we get that expansion of 1% or more. So when momentum turns above average for the first time, that's when we want to be entering right there on the runway. After that, the plane is climbing, going faster and faster, still accelerating, and we get to ride along as long as the stock is accelerating at above average momentum. So as long as the bars are green, that means the expansion is greater than 1%. We are at above average momentum in a stock, and that's how long you want to ride it, in my opinion. And then as the plane is slowing down, getting ready for landing, right? Landing gears come out, we're starting to come down in altitude. That's when we start to take our profits. Right? It turns yellow, coming the EMAs went like this, pooh, and then they start to tighten up, and then right about here is when it's going to tell you yellow, take your profits, and then we're out. Now, here's how I prefer to trade it, and these are my personal rules. I encourage you guys to develop your own personal rules. Again, if you have other indicators you like, pair them together. Use them as lenses for one another. So for bullish or long swing trades, couple things here. 5 rules for you to remember. Number one, know the strong sectors. If you guys have been coming to Thursday's class, I already have you covered there. I kind of tip you off to what those sectors are for the week. And I'll walk through this each step here in more detail. To use the Newton Long Scanner, make your life easy. Don't flip through hundreds of stocks. Just use the scanner. Number 3, make sure it's in a strong bullish trend. 4, avoid holding through earnings. And 5, again, personal preference here. Enter on first green, take profits on first yellow. So let me walk through each of those 5 rules and why they're important. So number 1, you want to know the strong sectors. Why? Well, you want to be trading a stock that is swimming with the tide. Think about it. If real estate is tanking and one of the 50 real estate stocks is going higher, chances are that it's going to be dragged back down with the overall sentiment of that industry or sector. So if consumer discretionary or consumer financials, like we've been talking about a lot, have been going higher, a lot of times even the bummy stocks get dragged up with it because it's overall sentiment in the sector. Second, this is a little extra work, and I've developed codes on my end to find it. Um, I will probably share it with you guys over time. It's just going to be a lot of work to get it going on your side. But ideally, you want a stock that is also a leader within that sector. So you don't want a sector that looks like this. Let's look at XL. Let me do this. XLF. So strong sector, right? Financials. And then let me get a bad one. Oh, nope. Anyone know a bad? Does PayPal count? Or here, so like Aflac is a financial stock, right? But it's been lagging. So even though financials is really strong, if Aflac turns green like it did here, I probably want to trade it because I want it to be coinciding with what's going on in the sector. I don't want it to be diverting against the sector. So again, you want a strong sector, so financials, for example, and then you want a stock that's also a leader within that sector or a strong stock within that sector. JP Morgan's a great example. So when JP Morgan flips green and you know it's been a strong stock in that strong sector, you know that's a good entry. That's a very, very positive high confirmation entry. All right. Again, every Thursday at 10 a.m., just like today's class, it's more of a market look than a strategy look. I cover this in detail. So step number 1, align with the good sectors. Step number 2 is use the Newton Long Scanner. This will only give you stocks on the first day of green entry. So the first time momentum flips above average. So again, like for example, JP Morgan's been long for 4 weeks now. It's not going to show up on the scanner today. And the reason I do that is because I don't want you entering towards the end of a momentum move. I'm not going to say JP Morgan's done here. It's a great stock. It can keep going higher, but notice momentum here, like we said, like the plane taking off, it might be starting to come down to earth here. Now, if you got in on the first day, you're sitting pretty. If you didn't, if you're entering here, and again, it could go higher, definitely could, but maybe it's about to park out here, and I don't want you entering here. That's why the Newton scanner, which all of you who have Newton should have it installed in Thinkorswim, is only going to give you stocks on the first green day. So example, ECL was yellow, today it's green. PSX was yellow, today it's green. Now, a quick question here. Is PSX a stock that I would trade based on what I've just told you? It's not a trick question. Sean says no, and Sean is right. Again, if we're trading bullish, we don't want to trade a bearish looking stock. That's why I say it's a little bit of an art and a science. So John Deere, oh, they have earnings. I was going to say this one, just flip back yellow, but they have earnings. This would be probably a pretty good stock to trade if they didn't have earnings. Earnings, a lot of earnings. Anyways, I wish there was a beautiful example here. Actually, I had some from yesterday I put in here. We'll cover. But this is designed to only give you stocks that are in their first green entry. So you're not going to get stocks that have been riding higher for a long time. Chai, really, Newton gives a signal on ticker's first day up. Yeah, first green day. Yes. Can you trade this? Can you take the trades and trade on interactive brokers? Yes, you can. You can trade on any brokerage. The code itself applies to Thinkorswim. Yeah, Sean, I don't think any of your seven look good from today's list. I actually agree with that, Sean. Adobe first green. Let's look at Adobe. Yep. See Adobe? Red, yellow, red, yellow. It's green, Susan. So hopefully that makes sense there. All right. So use the scanner. It's gonna give you the stocks. It's gonna put them on a nice little silver platter for you. Typically we get 5 to 10 stocks on any given day. So just sync it with your chart. If you guys have Thinkorswim, make sure that your scanner is, where's my sync thing? All right. I had to stretch it a little more. See how this, you can unlink it. You can change these colors. Just make sure the color here, so red 1 matches the color here. Does everyone see that? If I do 2, look, I can click here all over and my charts aren't changing. Sync it with your chart. 1, 1. So now I can easily flip through. I can even use my up and down key. That's what I'm doing here. Just using my down arrow. Makes it real easy to flip through these charts. Again, you only get 5 to 10 per day. It's not going to take you all year to figure it out. Pretty quickly, you can see if there's any good trades or not. Like again, Sean already said these 7 aren't that great, and I agree with Sean. First green candle is opening candles. They may not be green at the close. Great question. It's current. It should be currently green, and it might be like a minute delayed. So some of them will flip back yellow throughout the day. But it's a current scan. It's not necessarily the open or the close. Actually, at the close, I think you have like from 4 to 5 window where you can see the ones that stayed green all day. All right. So step 1, know the strong sectors. Step 2, do yourself a favor. Use the long scanner. Sync it with your charts. Now, step 3 here, or rule number 3, is again, verify strong bullish trends. Sean mentioned, like, this one's a pretty strong trend. It just has earnings next week. But we don't, I mean, no, but it has it earnings on the 20th. So right now, it's a little bit of a tricky situation with the earnings. But I'll pull up yesterday's picks. Like, John Deere looks really good right now. If I can get this to zoom, but it has earnings on Thursday. So I probably want to trade it, and I'll walk through that rule in a second. So you want to see a strong bullish trend, right? Avoid counter trends. You don't want to trade bullish in a bearish stock. That doesn't really make sense. It's like swimming, going into a river, swimming upstream. Don't do that. Also, I avoid holding through earnings because this isn't built to be an earnings indicator. Very little can tip you off to a positive or negative move on earnings. The best thing I found is just options order flow. This is a momentum. This is a technical breakout pattern here. It's not going to tell you if a stock's going to have better fundamentals than it did last quarter. It doesn't have any way of knowing that. So just avoid holding through earnings. Now, as a bonus verification, and someone asked about this earlier, I like to confirm it with the weekly chart too a lot of the time. So here's ANET, for example, which ANET is down today. I entered it yesterday. I've entered it so many times. Still green, actually. Let me pull up ANET. So the momentum's still green. I entered yesterday here. Still green, going for a gap fill. We've made quite a bit of money on ANET week over week. But something I liked about ANET is if I flip over here to a weekly chart as well, I mean, imagine if you're a buy and hold stock person here and you buy ANET back here in May of 2023 for $37 and it's tripled since then. Wow. But anyways, it's not the point. The point is green on weekly, green on daily. That's where 2 things are lining up again versus, let me find a stock that's probably not going to be green. Oh, Adobe's probably a good one. So Adobe, where did it go? It's technically green today, but again, counter trend. Don't like it. Let's see what it looks like on the weekly. Red on weekly. That's going to give you a quick view. Might not be a great stock to swing trade. You want everything to line up. Make it easy on yourselves here. Hopefully that makes sense. Tebow, my scanner showing dozens of stocks. Perhaps I did not install it correctly. I will reach out to Cam Gustavo. Great. Yeah, perhaps we did. I did post multiple updates since the very first initial launch, so you may need to reinstall it, Tebow. Also, I should mention Gustavo and Cam, that's our customer service team. They are top of the line experts. They are live every day from I think 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern every single day in a Zoom room just like this one to answer any question you have about any of your services and your strategies you're using. Maybe even just learning about options or installing indicators. Because every single day for 3 hours, these guys are top notch experts that can walk you through everything. They have I think we call it customer service live. Again, that's a very, very valuable resource that's in all of the members' portals if you have questions throughout the week and I'm not able to answer them right away. So make sure you guys are taking advantage of that. Brent says when he runs the scanner, he's getting over 20 tickers, so you probably have the same issue going on. Deanna, do you know? I'll check in the members' portal after this just to make sure that it has the most current updated one. You should have it. It should look like this. These should be the tickers you guys see today. Let me just go ahead and do this, guys. Make sure that if you go to the scanner, all right, so click here on Thinkorswim, go to edit, and then let's go find Newton Scanner, whatever you called it. I'm gonna click on that. This might be what the difference is. I've selected S&P 500 stocks, optionable stocks, which every stock in the S&P should be optionable. But if you go here, category, go down to public S and P 500. So maybe you guys have all stocks selected, so you're getting penny stocks, small caps, everything. That could be why you have more entries than me. If you guys want the Gustavo actually sent it to me the other day. I'll just post it in here in the chat. Again, guys, this is a massive resource that I always forget to tell people about, but like I don't know of any other publishers out here who have this great of a team working around the clock to get you guys taken care of. This is our customer service live link. Post it. Tebow says those guys are top notch. They absolutely are. I post it in the chat every day from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. That's 3 hours a day. They're there to answer any questions you have. Most people don't even realize we have this available for members. It's free for members. You don't have to pay extra for it or anything. Great resource. Make sure you bookmark that link. Sean, do I run it more than once a day or does it continue to process live? It processes it live. So when we come back in 5 minutes, it'll be a slightly different list. Most of them will still be there, but it'll be slightly different. So do what works for you. If you like placing trades at the open, do it at the open. If you like placing around lunch, just check around lunch. If you like placing them at the close, do it in the last hour of the day. But it should be 80% the same list. Some will drop off, some will come on. Howard, thanks. My settings were wrong. Oh, perfect. Cool. All right. So just real quick, let me just cover this again. Trade the strong sectors, swim with the tide. Use the scanner to find first day entries. Make sure it's a bullish trend, right? Avoid those counter trends, avoid earnings. The easiest way for me to tell you it's a bullish trend is if you confirm it with a weekly chart. It should be green on the weekly as well as the daily. That's a good confirmation there. Now for the actual entry, Dave says about Gustavo and Cam, when they aren't answering questions, they're teaching on a moderately advanced subject. Awesome. So there's learning there as well. All right, for entry and exit, these are my personal rules. Again, I encourage you to use it how you like to use it the best. Maybe you like to enter for the first few days of acceleration, and when it gets a peak in acceleration, you exit. That's a great way to use it. Actually, that's a way that Rodney, one of my coworkers, he likes to use it. He'll just place it here. He just likes those quick bursts. He doesn't want to hold it for a long time. He just wants to get that 3, 4, 5 day burst. Great way to use it. However, the most basic way to use it is enter on that first green signal, right? Straight from the scanner. No extra work on your part. And then you can sell it on the first yellow. You can sell it on red if you want. I just like to sell it on yellow. So again, to be extra clear, you would enter on the first green signal that comes right from the scanner. It does the work for you, and you sell it on the first yellow. So here is EQT, here's Progressive, two very different stocks, showing you how it works. Now, why do I prefer on selling yellow when swing trading versus holding till red or something? Because you can always enter again. So let's look at AJG. Enter on green, sell on yellow. This one you probably break even. Happens. The next one, you enter on green. Again, you can get many, many entries along the way. Sell on yellow. Nice little profit there. Another opportunity here. Enter on green, sell on yellow. Probably break even there. Then a fourth one here in this chart. Enter on green, sell on yellow. Nice little profit. So you can hold it from here until you see a red, which would have come a long, long ways away. I just like to stick to the green and yellow rules. Again, if you prefer, or if you're trading the stock, you can definitely hold until it flips back red. Again, the reason I like to enter and exit is because there's always going to be another opportunity. The cool thing about Newton is there's no shortage of opportunity. It's not like there's only 5 stocks that we can look at. There's always going to be opportunities every day. So if one of mine flips yellow, let me go jump into one that just turned green that probably has a little bit more upside. Again, another cool thing you can do that some of my friends do is you can just trade it for these quick bursts, sell it when it dips back. So flips probably not a great example. Let me find one here. So like see these bars down here if you're using lower flips green, enter until these bars start decreasing right here. So you would enter here, sell up here. Another great way to use it. Let's look how it did here. On EQT, enter first green, let it go, expanding, expanding, expanding. Small pullback here in the expansion. So you'd enter here, sell here. Nice quick burst, entry and exit. That's another way to use it. Let me see. Does this work with TradingView? This is built for Thinkorswim. When talking of weekly chart and daily chart, what is the bar length versus the time frame of the chart? And I'm not exactly sure what you're talking about. If I'm looking at a daily chart, it's going to be daily bars. If I'm looking at a weekly chart, it's going to be weekly bars. Why don't I scan using previous close candle? This way it'll be fixed. Enter at the close of first green candle. You can. You just might be a day late. I like it in action right now. Um, that's just how I like to trade it. These are recorded. This will be posted on YouTube. And Deanna, we should probably just post this in the members portal for Newton as well. Just run the long scanner and it shows a long list with the symbol green and symbol red. Do I just go through the green symbol ones? Not necessarily. I don't actually. Why did BBY show up? This one is definitely red. Oh, it's on weekly. That's why. So sometimes the stock will be down in the day, but the EMAs will be catching up, in which case it expands. Again, I probably wouldn't trade this one, but let's see. I'm just going to imagine. I'm not going to place a trade on it, but imagine that John Deere didn't have earnings. And imagine if it was red today, but green here. It still could be a great entry, right? Green on the weekly, green on the daily could be a great entry. So this is just going to give you all the entries for today. Brent, can Newton be used with options? Absolutely. I'm going to cover that in a moment. Administrator, have you developed Newton on your own? Yes, I have. What time frame do you use on daily bars and what time frame do you use on weekly bars? Are you saying when looking at the chart? I just use the Thinkorswim settings. Daily is 1 year. Weekly is it shows 3 years. But I'll just zoom in too. Oh shoot, a lot of questions. Jojo, when it turns green, do you buy the stock or call options or wrap? I'll talk about that in a second. On TOS, if you select less than 200 stocks and show, then TS only pulls up the sequential stocks. If you want to scan all stocks and display it, you have to select 200 or more. Interesting, Nathan. Where did the name Newton come from? Just because of how it measures momentum, thought it'd be a fun name for it. Why not incorporate weekly chart filtering in the scanner? That's actually a good idea. I probably could do that. The reason I don't is because some people like having all of them, but I could probably build a scanner where it does filter out only those that are green on the weekly. That way you're only getting 2 or 3 entries a day. Can I explain earnings and placing trades, Priscilla? Yes, in a nutshell, if there's earnings coming up, don't place a trade just using Newton alone. Now, if you have something else that does earnings and says it's good, feel free to do it. Newton is not built to tell you about earnings. It's built to tell you about momentum on normal trading days. Which of my programs makes use of Newton? I've got a few. NVIDIA Elite is the most prevalent one. The Perfect Bitcoin Trade also does. The Perfect Apple Trade uses a slight variation of it. It doesn't actually, it doesn't really use Newton at all. It uses price action, but it's very similar with how it comes out. Can I cover day trading? I will. Let me just real quick hit the bearish. So for bearish trades, what if you want to trade to the downside? We just talked about to the upside. If you want to trade to the downside, so if you want to trade bearish or down short or buy puts, same rules, just flip them. Know the instead of knowing the strong sectors, know the weak sectors, right? We talked about real estate has been a terrible sector. If there's a real estate stock that's flipping red, beautiful. They line up, right? We cover that every Thursday in class. So make sure you're at Thursday 10 a.m. sessions. Uh, this should say short. Use the Newton short scanner. Verify weak trends. Avoid earnings. Enter on first reds. Take profits on first yellow. Again, same rules, but to the downside. So, for example, we did a trade on Fang, which is an energy company. Energy was very weak. Look, flips yellow here, then flips red. You enter short or buy puts on red, and you exit on yellow. So, nice little move here to the downside. Again, you can enter short or buy puts, first red entry, and then exit when it turns yellow. There's no yellow here yet. It was still going down as of yesterday when I took the screenshot. Let's see if we got a yellow today. Nope, still no yellow today, but it does look like we should park out here pretty soon. Should be a nice little move to the downside. So again, same rules. Let me pull up the short scanner just to show you. I've got it here. I can just flip it. All right, it's out of the screen, but you guys can see it here. Short scanner. I wonder if this is set up to S&P. So we got a lot on the short scanner today. So this might be a good one to. It's probably because we talk about it almost every week, but the majority of stocks. Wow, Apple 284 today. Nice. We talk about it a lot, but the majority of stocks are actually lagging the S&P right now. So that's probably why we're getting so many short readings right now. But again, same sort of rules as before. PNC is financial stock. Financials are hot. I'm not going to short PNC. But if I get a good stock, here we go. Ben. I don't even know what Ben is. It's a financial stock. It's counter to its sector. Ooh. AXP is a stock that I would not be shorting right now, right? Strong trend. It's in financials. This is one that I'd keep an eye out. If it gets a green, can be a great entry coming up for AXP. Very good stock. ELV. Healthcare. Healthcare's been weak. So we've talked about this for a few weeks. No earnings coming up. Newton just flipped red. Last time it flipped red was all the way up here. The thing has cratered since then. Let's see what the options look like here on ELV. Do you guys want to place it? There's not a ton of liquidity. I can send you guys a free trade here if you want it. How I would trade it. Pretty good. We can get filled for that. All right, I'll just write this up for you guys if you want it. Actually, let me keep looking just to see if there's any with better liquidity. Cruise lines. Ooh. Pharmaceuticals, healthcare. This could be a good one too. This one should have good volume. I can actually buy more time with it. So here, again, this is swing trading. I'm going to do a spread on it. You guys know I always do spreads. I'm going to give it all the way to here to drop. Actually, I don't need that much time. Let me see what tighter expiration might look like, especially with the dividend. $6.70. All right, so I'm going to do it. If this stock is below here, see where my crosshairs are? By that date, so it's given it about 2 weeks for it to drop $4, $5, less than 1%. We get about double our money. Apple is popping. Yes, yes, yes. All right, let me just type this up for you guys. We didn't have a long one. I think I had a good one from yesterday, though, so let me pull that up after I send you guys this one. But this is a downside trade, right? Do you see how I picked it? Bad sector, bad stock, bad trend, no earnings. First red candle, good entry. So it's REGN, 21st February expiration. Obviously, we're trading puts. We want it to go down. We're going to buy the 675 put. And we're going to sell the 670 put. Currently trading at 260. This stock drops less than 1%. All right, if the stock drops less than 1% over the next 2 weeks, we'll make around 100% ROI. Not quite, probably 98%. I'm going to send that off. See if we can fill it. Filled right away. Oh, 237 fill. Hey, yo. So even better than what I just said. So 237. I covered this the other week in class. 5 minus 237. So 263 is our max profit. That gives us a 110% profit potential if REGN goes down by 0.6% from here. So someone asked earlier, shouldn't you just be trading calls and puts to these downside moves? You definitely can. I prefer this way of trading because, again, I do have to be right, but I don't have to be that right to make a pretty great return. 110% ROI if the stock barely bumps down over the next 2 weeks. So bad stock, right? Bad trend. I didn't confirm it on the weekly, but I could have already told you it's red on the weekly. No earnings coming up. Bad sector. Let's take it short. What do I think of Tesla? Told you guys to get long Tesla back in the election day. Right now, that is not looking pretty, in my opinion. Look at this breakdown here. The momentum is red, yes, but notice this higher swing and then a lower swing high, right? So starting to inverse the trend. Still green on the weekly, so I wouldn't trade it just yet. If that answers your question. Could be a good entry, could work. I like to see everything line up for the best accuracy. All right, let me carry on here. So that's your bearish rules. You can jump into trades late. However, it may lower the overall profit potential. So again, use the scanners. They're programmed to get you in day of entry. Let's go ahead and check out some stocks. I'm just going to pull up yesterday's scanner because we didn't have any good long ones today. So this was my screenshot from yesterday. Just because I want to get you guys some action here. WDC, no good, right? Bad trend. McDonald's, not great. EQT, ooh, beautiful trend. These guys are killing me with earnings. Oh, this would have been a good one. All right. AVGO. This has been a good one for us. Again, first green bar was yesterday. Thing is, the semiconductors have been pretty average, and technology has not been a leading sector. Let's keep going. NPC, not good. Oh, ISRG is a really great one. It is in healthcare, so I know I just said not to do that. See, that's what healthcare is. This is when I entered long yesterday. Amazing trend. ANET. I really like ANET. All right. Where was that one? Oh, EQT, they had earnings or have earnings. Why is this all the way out? Oh, it's a dividend. 218 earnings. So you could trade this one. I don't like the strikes. Let me get this to move a bit. All righty. Well, guys, what a bummer. Again, I'm not a big risk taker. I don't like forcing trades. I would love to give you guys a trade right now, but none of them really look good. We had that one downside one that looked good. To the upside, nothing is really making me want to jump head over heels. Big problem is just the earnings season we're in right now. Earnings. MO, Staples. I think Staples was a little bit laggy. I'm guessing this is laggy too. Yeah. All right. I'm not going to force anything. Promise you, if you come Thursday, we'll have more live trades for you, or I will. Thursday. So we have that one today, REGN to the downside. That's all I'm going to take today. Again, you can take 100 trades a day if you want. I don't like it. I already have enough trades on deck as is. Markets have flipped positive on a side note. So I'm not going to force anything here to the long side. What does GE look like in net? Let's take a look. Susan at GE and Rose asked about GE. So here you can see when it first flipped, that explosive move. Again, if you're looking at the EMA's explosive move and they're starting to come back together, it was great. I probably wouldn't personally enter it right now at the moment. Let's take a look at HWM. Similar story. Do they have earnings today? Oh no. Earnings on Thursday. Let's look at net. We had a question here for net. Oh my word. That's a beast. So I missed this one myself. Weekly, great trend. Daily, just insane. Net looks really good. Interestingly enough, it's coming off earnings. I was gonna say the momentum picked up at an insane rate, but that's just a little earnings drift we got going here. But you can see if it flips from yellow to green, we normally get that accelerated move right away. All right. Apple in the red, but up 3% today. Apple, for perfect Apple trade, it's a price action indicator that looks at weekly charts and weekly expansions. So it measures it in a different sort of light. All right, I've done the swing trading. Let me just run through the day trading. So some people here are day traders. I'm personally not a big day trader, but if I want to have some fun, this is how I would do it. And this is how we tested it for higher accuracy. So it's a slightly different. Day trading with Newton. So instead of that 5 and 16 EMAs, I adjusted it. The day trading code is 5 and 30. So it doesn't matter if you're on the 1-minute chart, the 2-minute chart, 5-minute chart, 60-minute chart, it's going to be the 5 and 30 EMAs. This helps us eliminate about half of the entries. So it's just going to really decrease that pool of entries and ideally increases the win rate. That's how it worked in the testing. We didn't test all 2,000 stocks out there, but we did test close to 100 of them. And this was really what the best numbers were. So other than that small change of the 30-day instead of the 30 EMA instead of 16 EMA, all the other rules stay the same. We still want 5 above 30, and we still want a 1% plus expansion. So note, I prefer using the 5-minute candles when day trading. You can use the 1 minute, it gets a little jumpy. You can use the 1 hour, it may get a little slow. 5 minutes is kind of that sweet spot. So the rules to follow if bullish or long for the day trade is the market bullish. Again, swim upstream or no, don't swim upstream, swim with the tide. The market's tanking, you probably may not want to take a bullish stock. Just take a bearish one, swim with the tide. Then sort the scanner by the biggest percent changers. So if I were to day trade today, markets are pretty neutral. I probably wouldn't be day trading today. But let's say it's an amazing day and I wanted to day trade, I would start with the strongest stocks first. DD is a great example. These are coming off earnings though. Earnings. Adobe, here we go. No earnings. So you can see, say the market was super bullish. You get that 5-minute green, enter, take it long till it flips yellow. Here's another pretty one. PFG, financial stock, red. Say the markets are green. We want to trade one bullish. Goes yellow, green. Good. Now notice this scanner is still using daily stocks. So it's naturally going to find the stocks that are flipping green on the daily charts. Then I just wait for the 5-minute entry on or the entry on the 5-minute charts. So it's a strong stock, ideally a strong day in the markets, and then just use that 5-minute chart. Here was yesterday for PFG, enter on green, sell on yellow, pretty good day. Here we're entering on green, sell on yellow, whenever it may be, hopefully a good day. So strong trending stock should be outperforming the markets. That's another good note. If the S&P is up 1%, I probably wouldn't trade a stock that's up 0.9%. It's lagging. So just look at how the markets are doing. This is a terrible example today because they're so flat. See if anything's way down. No. So say the QQQ was up or the S&P was up 1%. I would only be looking at the stocks over 1% on the day. They're down here. They're lagging. Probably not great for that day. Oh, look at the SPY today. Nice, nice. All right. Again, avoiding earnings names or news. This doesn't really apply if you're going to exit that same day. You don't have to worry about earnings. Same thing. Enter first green, sell on first yellow. So AVGO, this was yesterday. If you wanted to trade AVGO, it was outperforming the markets, flipped red, green, or yellow, green. You might have entered, exit, entered again for basically the same price, and then rode it all the way up to yellow. EQT yesterday, enter on green, rode it to yellow. ISRG, again, outperforming the markets. Here you had an entry at the open, break even. That's what happens when you day trade sometimes, but then you get another entry in the afternoon and a nice profit there on ISRG. If you want to trade bearish, short, same rules, flip them. It's a market bearish that day. Again, if markets are ripping that day like yesterday, you probably don't want to go short because a rising tide lifts a lot of boats. So if the market is dropping though, sort the scanner by the biggest percent drop. Again, use that weak or the short scanner. Don't use the long scanner. Use the short scanner and start with those weak stocks. You want it to be underperforming the market. So if the S&P is down 1% on the day, you want your stock to be down at least 1%, if not lower. You want it to be pulling the market down. Again, if you're going to hold it overnight, avoid earnings names, news. If you're just going to day trade it, don't worry about that so much. And as always, enter on the first red, sell on the first yellow. Now for options selection, my number one favorite way to trade options is the wrap order. This should not come as a surprise to anyone. I've said it for years now. I do trainings on it all the time. There's a training on YouTube on how to do this. Go to the page, go check it out. Deanna, were we able to post it to the new YouTube page yet?
No, not yet.
All right, we'll get it on the new YouTube page. It should be on the old one. It's in every members portal. Go check it out. That's what we did with REGN just now. It's a great way to double your money on a tiny move in a stock. Again, you have to be right, but you barely have to be right. You can almost be wrong and still double your money. That's how cool it is. Number two, my number two favorite way to trade options is use elite options. And that's when I have a very high confidence, or if I'm trading a very explosive stock. We talked about this last week. Use those elite options. Again, same thing. Recording is in the members portal. See the recordings on YouTube, see them in your members portal, wherever you can get them. Now, if I'm going to trade directionally, call or put options, I would go 1 to 2 strikes out of the money. This is how I select the perfect Apple trade. This is how I'll do some of my other directional trades. If I want to trade it directionally, I think I'm going to get just massive upside. 1 to 2 strikes out of the money. That's going to, and then for expiration, 2 to 3 months, so 60 to 90 days, somewhere in that window, because this could be a 1 week trade. It could be a 3-4 week trade. You don't want to be running out of time and that fighting against you. If you look at the delta, that should put you in about the 0.4 to 0.5 delta range. So general rules here. If you're going to trade calls or puts, 1 to 2 strikes out of the money, 2 to 3 months till expiration, right around that 0.4 to 0.5 delta range. Again, 80-90% of my trades are wrap orders and elite options. The rest, the other 10% are going to be these. But the best bang for your buck, guys, I'm just going to beat you over the head with this every single week till you all believe me or see it for yourself. Wrap orders and elite options. If you're a day trader, I would do the shortest time frame. I probably wouldn't go under 3 days till expiration. So for like today, if you're day trading today, you can use the weekly. If you were day trading on Friday, you can use that same day expiration. They are going to be wildly volatile, but I probably would set a rule for a minimum of 3 days until expiration on the options I'm selecting. Same thing, they'll buy a call or put 1 to 2 strikes out of the money. It's going to be very volatile, but a small move on a day trade, like I showed you with AVGO, would have been a pretty massive move on those options. All right, let me answer some questions here. But if you want to know more about how you can add Newton to your charts today, I'm going to have our team play the presentation in full. So if you don't have Newton, if you feel like you're missing out, you probably are. On the outside looking in, we'll show you how to get it added to your charts here in the next few minutes. First, let me answer some questions here. How do I choose it? Which expiration? Again, 60 to 90 days out if I'm swing trading. David, with Apple jumping today, although we think SP will go lower this month, what are your thoughts on the exit? David, I just follow the rules. I always do. So no matter what my overall, with that perfect Apple trade, I should clarify. With the perfect Apple trade, I just follow the rules because over time it's worked out really well. Doesn't win every time, but the winners are just so monstrous that it works out pretty good over time. Took a lot of notes. Awesome. AVGO is also on the clock. Yes, it is. Can you set alerts on Newton? You can. In Thinkorswim, I don't have time to cover today, but you can go into the scanner and set an alert for new entries. You can do it for all sorts of things. The alerts in Thinkorswim are really a cool feature. You can have them text you, you can have them send a push notification, you can have them email you. Really cool features. You should see yellow on your Newton. Do I use credit wraps ever? Or debits? I just use debits pretty much, Karen. I did use credits for a while. People were getting early exercised, and it was not fun for them. So I said, you know what? We're getting about the same risk to reward for debits. That's why I use debits. Target on the REGN trade is I want it below 670 by February 21st. Surprised with Graham's Eli Manning jersey that he has not released the pick of destiny. Do I have an Eli Manning? I don't think I have an Eli Manning in here. I should get one though. Why not 70 delta? You can do a 70 delta. If you look at this criteria, it's not going to be a 70 delta. There'll be no such thing as 1 to 2 strikes out of the money, 60 to 90 days out of expiration. That is a 70 delta. 70 delta is going to be more in the money. What is the average return, winners and losers of my NVIDIA Elite program? I'll tell you. NVIDIA Elite average return, winners and losers 28%. The average winners 89%. So 28% on the average trade over a 6-day period. So I use a weekly wrap when I get a Newton entry on NVIDIA Elite. So every week that I get an entry, get about 28% that week. That includes winners and losers. Pretty good. Brandon, will there be a replay link? Yes, it will be posted on YouTube. This does only apply for Thinkorswim, Mr. Graham. Dude, that's my Peyton Manning jersey there. But I need to get an Eli one. I actually like Eli more and more. The more I see him on those the different shows and whatnot with Peyton, he cracks me up. How do you decide the days to expiration for wrap? Too long, allow the trade to play out, but if the stock, we are cooked. I typically do weekly wraps. On REGN, I just gave it a little bit more time. You probably could have done weekly. We got 3 days, 3.5 days left until expiration. I just bought a little more time there. Why not go deeper in the money for basic calls? You can. It's going to be more expensive, and the upside profit potential is going to be lower. That said, your time decay is going to be lower as well. So there's pros and cons to each way in Administrator. All right, Deanna, you good to get the Newton event replay up and rolling so people can see how to get it added to their charts today if they are not a member yet?
Yep, give me 1 second to get that guy pulled up.
Perfect. Again, guys, this is for anyone who watched today's presentation and said, that looks really cool. I'd like to have that. You're not a member. Stick around, watch this presentation. I'll walk you through it step by step, and then you can get it added to your charts today if you want. Get the scanner on your chart today. Again, it's a great tool to have. Let's see. Chuck Hughes has used 1% rule to select strike. Yes, he does. But you're going to look at like $1,000 to $2,000 options. I'm actually going to teach on that TLKWY on how to use that 1% rule. The downside there is it's going to be very expensive options. So when you're wrong, it'll be costly. Thank you, Rose. Karen, do I use sell to close orders? No, I don't. But you can. All right, Deanna, I'll let you roll with this. Thank you guys
All
for
right.
being here today. If you don't have Newton, pay attention to what Deanna's about to roll for you.
Let me just get the chat up in case I need it. All right. Bye, Graham. Thank you.
Tells you they have something that works 100% of the time, you'll never lose, probably should run away. There's going to be winners, there's going to be losers. I try to keep my win rates around 70%. I think that's about my average. Some of my programs are in the 80s, some of them are in the 60s. They're on average about 70%. That can be a winning edge for you. Now, that's exactly what it says here. The reason I share these tools with you is because I want to help you have that same sort of edge. So please, though, if you're starting out, if you're brand new, don't trade with money you can't afford to lose. Don't get too greedy. I've seen it happen too many times where you get a few wins under your belt, you'll have some success, and then you go in a little bit too big, and then your fear and greed starts to kick in. So just trade small to start if you're starting out. Now, my name is Graham Lindman, and today you're going to discover a effective new way to buy and sell stocks. It's a way of trading designed to help you pinpoint the exact day to buy in and then sell out of the markets. Now, I understand that may sound a bit far-fetched, and experts will tell you that it's impossible to time the market. But as you'll soon see, it's not just possible, it's something that you can repeat over and over again. And it's all thanks to this proprietary smart code that you see on my screen right here. What you're looking at is 117 lines of code that can track and leverage the real reason stock move. It's the backbone for what I believe is the best buy and sell indicator available today. And once it's applied to your charts, it can help you pinpoint the exact day to buy in and then sell out of the markets. Now, the way it works is really quite straightforward. All we do is we buy when the candles flip to green, and then we sell the moment they turn red. For example, let's look at the S&P 500. At the end of last year, the S&P had just given back 2 months worth of returns. The majority of investors were certain that the downtrend would continue. That looks like a nice little downtrend, right? Rightfully so. Many economists were predicting a recession in early 2024. However, on November 13th, our indicator would have flashed its first green candle in more than 60 trading days. You can see it's pretty simple to see. The yellow, red, and green. Green means go. In this case, the indicator said it was the perfect day to enter the market. Sure enough, it was spot on here. Over the next 112 trading days, the S&P went on to make new all-time highs. Now, I could point to plenty of reasons that might explain this massive rally, including cooling inflation numbers, an increase in wages, even stronger earnings projections, but I prefer just to tell you this. None of that really mattered because before any of those reports came, before any of that news came, my indicator gave the buy signal, and anyone who bought on green and then sold on red could have ridden the S&P 500 to new all-time highs. Now, if you're a stock trader, $5,000 would have turned into $5,864, a really great return. But if you're an options trader, that same $5,000 stake would have blossomed into $13,150. Pretty good, right? And it's all thanks to this proprietary buy and sell indicator that you can have on your charts today. I call it Newton, and it's the most advanced indicator I've ever released. Like I said, the code behind the indicator measures the underlying force behind a stock's movement. And by leveraging this force, it can show us the exact data buy in and sell out of the markets, regardless of the conditions, regardless of the sentiment or the news out there. For example, let's look all the way back to the bear market of 2022. Who remembers that? Let me know in the chat if you remember that one. That was not a really fun time. Because at the time, every major tech stock was underwater, including Apple, one of my favorite stocks. Over a 2-month span, the stock shed $30 per share. Sentiment surrounding Apple was so bad that even the famed investor Michael Burry took a short position in the stock. He said, short it there. However, on July 7th, Newton issued a buy signal right there in the middle of the bear market. Once again, you can see how the candles flipped green on your charts. And in this case, Newton said it was the optimal day to enter the stock. Sure enough, Newton was right. It was spot on because over the next 39 days, Apple rallied higher. Now, looking back, we could point to several reasons, again, that might explain this rally, including plans of a new iPhone launch and earnings beat. But once again, none of that matters because before either of those events occurred, Newton signaled a buy alert on Apple stock. And anyone who bought on green and then sold on red, very simple, could have captured 16% on the underlying stock. Just a couple of weeks. That's great. That's like twice the annual S&P return in a couple of weeks. Now, that's also the equivalent of about 200% gains on the options. Every $5,000 could have quickly transformed into $15,000. Now, I've been trading the market for more than 10 years. I've attended some of the top universities in the country, and I've even studied under 2 of the top minds in finance. But nothing has had a bigger impact on my success than Newton. It's the crowning achievement of all of my work. You see, Newton is a project I completed back in 2023, and the goal was to build a tool to help me validate some of our entries and exits across my different services. In December, it played a key role in helping us ride Apple for a 319% return on the options. It's a real money trade that I took with my own money in my own account, 319% gain there. And then in July, it helped us do it again. This time, we closed a 436% return in 53 trading days. Again, real money, real trade. In fact, Newton has played a critical role in many of our best trades so far over this year. 290%, 343%, 85%, 91%. You guys get the picture. And that's why I'm here today. I'd like to share Newton with anyone who wants to just become a better trader or investor. It's made a huge impact on my trading, and I think it can do the same for you. It's one of the few tools that removes the technical out of technical trading. And once it's applied to your charts, it can transform them from a hard to follow mess, like you see there, to a treasure trove of buy and sell opportunities. Makes it very easy to see, is momentum positive, is it negative, are we in or are we out? For example, let's step back to February. That's the day that Newton would have issued a buy alert on Devon Energy. There on February 20th, candle flip green. Once again, you can see those candles are green. Now, anyone who's unfamiliar with Newton may have questioned this particular buy signal. After all, almost every major energy producer was trading well below their 2022 highs, including Devon, which shed nearly half of its value. Look at that, just down, 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 nearly half of it's gone. Now, traditional wisdom would tell you probably to avoid this stock, but Newton does not rely on traditional wisdom. It leverages the underlying force behind the rise and fall of all stocks. And once again, Newton was right. It was spot on. By April, the stock had climbed by 17%, and anyone who would have bought on green and then sold on red would have seen a 203% gain on the options. Now, if you are skeptical, you have every right to be. The timing of these signals, they seem quite unlikely. But when you understand how the indicator works, it's actually not that uncommon at all. Looking back, it accurately signaled almost every major upswing we've seen this year, including the run-up in financials, which, by the way, they're looking good again. If you guys missed the morning session, you missed out because we're trading financials. The rally in Bitcoin. What about the run-up in Tesla and the rise of healthcare as well? It even nailed the 319% rally from SMCI without a single false signal. That was a fun ride up. Now, as incredible as that is, Newton was actually designed for a much greater purpose. It was designed to help us pinpoint precise moments to enter and then precise moments to exit the market. It's designed to help us ride all of the highs and avoid those lows, cut out that garbage in between. Imagine this chart if you cut out that red and combine those greens together. That is straight up and to the right. And today, I'm going to show you how it works, and I'm going to show you how to install it on your trading platform right away. My hope is that you can leverage its power to make better investment decisions, to validate trades that you're already making, and most importantly, help you find opportunities that you may have otherwise missed. Like I said, a lot of times I'll see a stock pop up that I've never traded before. Newton says it's a buy, I open the chart, I'm like, wow, this is a beauty, and I'll trade it. Now, if this is your first live webinar with me, my name is Graham Lindman, and I'm a senior options strategist here at Prosperity Pub. I'm a husband, I'm a father, but I'm also a die-hard trader. For more than a decade, trading has been my life, and I've never had any interest in speaking on Fox, CNBC, or Bloomberg, but I've had hundreds of screenshots showing my best real money results, including a $5,000 winner on Path, $17,000 on Fortinet, which, by the way, bookmark this one, I'm going to be talking about it soon, even a $34,000 winner on Mara. Now, I'm not sharing these results to brag, but rather to show you that I put my money where my mouth is. This year, many of my top strategies have posted triple-digit growth with accuracy rates greater than 70%. Perfect Bitcoin's above 80%, NVIDIA Elite's above 70%. And that's why more than 150,000 people from around the country follow my work. It's also why many of the top members consistently send me messages like this. Mark said made 450% on my pick. James made 10,000, taking some profits. Richard said, this is a no-brainer. All of your services are spot on in growing our accounts. Thank you, Graham, for all you do. Diana said, all the trades were 100% winners. Jennifer said, hey, Graham, I'm up 5K on NVIDIA right now. Modi said, you've been consistently on the spot with my PGR and GE trades. Now, as great as that is, I owe much of the insights that I've gathered from Newton. You see, it's not just another indicator. It's a quantum leap forward for both traders and investors. Newton, it's smart. It's strategic, and in my opinion, it's the most useful indicator for buying and selling stocks, and it couldn't be easier to use. Today, I'll share with you everything about it, including what's behind these color-coded candles, how they're able to accurately define buy and sell opportunities, the underlying force that makes it all possible, and how you can start leveraging Newton in your own Thinkorswim account this afternoon. And I'll even share with you my number one stock for February of 2025, which is looking like a great buy. But before we get there, I'd like to remind you, Newton is not magic. It can't guarantee a winning outcome all of the time. It gives signals based on the real reason stocks move, and that's critical regardless of what kind of trader you are. You see, despite the markets breaking all-time highs, very few stocks have been driving the performance. In fact, just 3 out of every 10 stocks in the S&P are actually beating the index. That means it's a very few stocks dragging up the S&P. That's the lowest number since 1974, the worst reading in 50 years. Now, that's really bad. But here's the thing, this small number of stocks also have the highest concentration of market momentum. Stocks like Nvidia, GE, which just popped on earnings this morning, Progressive, Eli Lilly. Now, if you've been focused on those momentum stocks like we have, you've probably done quite well. But if you haven't, it's probably been a tough year. You have to remember, momentum is what drives the markets. When momentum levels are high, stocks traditionally move higher. But when they're low, stocks typically trade lower. You see, momentum is the single most dominant factor behind the rise and fall of all stocks. Now, it's why the majority of hedge funds are using momentum strategies in 2024 and 2025. Here you see it from Bloomberg. Yet most folks never consider momentum when opening a new position. That's because you can't point to it on a chart. You can't just eyeball it. Most of the time, you can't even see it. But that's where Newton begins. It's able to quantify momentum levels into tradable signals. In other words, it's able to show us which stocks are displaying the highest levels of momentum. When our candles turn green, it means momentum levels are very high. When the candles are red, it means momentum levels are very low. For example, let's look at ARM. In April, you can see how the candles were all red. This was a clear indication that momentum levels were extremely low. Now, as expected, shares shed 9% of their value. Not great. However, on May 13th, the candles turned green. And in this case, it told us momentum levels were high enough to support a tradable move. Sure enough, look at the shares rose by a whopping 45%. We're not talking options. We're talking shares rose 45% over the next 2 months. For you options traders, that's the equivalent of a 227% return in 71 days. However, I do want to make one important note. Notice how the candle turned red here on July 18th. That's our sell signal, right? That's a clear indication that momentum was no longer elevated. And as expected, shares came crashing right back down. But then in this instance, it didn't matter one bit because anyone who bought on green and sold on red would have been in and out well before the crash. Perfect timing. You see, momentum can't stay elevated forever. It fluctuates based on price action, buying pressure, and a handful of other market factors. So if you've recently entered a trade and it turned against you, again, it's not because you are a bad trader. Don't beat yourself up. You likely bought at a time where momentum levels were just frankly too low. But that's the real beauty behind Newton. It was designed to help ensure that we're only trading stocks with high levels of momentum. Now, as long as the candles are green, we know momentum is high enough to move the stock in our desired direction. For example, look at what happened on May 17th. That's the day Newton issued a buy signal on Delta Airlines. Once again, you can see exactly when the candles turned green. In this case, it told us momentum levels were high enough to support a tradable move. Sure enough, Delta climbed 34% by the time the candles turned red again. $5,000 in the stock would have turned into $6,700. Not bad. $5,000 into the options would have grown to more than $18,000 from one single trade. Now, for some of you, that might be life-changing money. For others, it's barely a drop in the bucket. But regardless of where you stand, it's certainly enough to move the needle in your day-to-day life. Maybe catch up on some bills, restock the emergency fund, get the car fixed, maybe get new rims on the car here. Looks like this guy got some new rims. Maybe pay down the mortgage. Now, of course, I'm not saying Newton can guarantee a winning outcome 100% of the time. We're smart enough to know that nothing is 100% accurate. That's not how trading works. Losses are always possible. That's why you should never bet the farm on any single position. That said, I've tested countless stocks against Newton, both good stocks and bad stocks. Many of them posted accuracy rates upwards of 80%. For example, when we backtested Nvidia against Newton signals, it won 82% of the time over the last 5 years. Pretty good, right? 82% of the time. Out of the 57 unique buy and sell signals, 47 of them were winners. The average return per trade was nearly 5% on the underlying, which would equate to about 50 to 100% on the options. If you're trading the wraps I like, you could probably do about 100% each time. And thanks to Newton, I got to take part in some of the most recent trades, including a 94% winner, 100% winner, even a 142% winner on Nvidia options. That said, many stocks performed even better. For example, Kava, which I'm going to go have for lunch today after this class, posted a 90% win rate. Eli Lilly posted a 91% win rate. Now, of course, I didn't just backtest the market's best stocks. That would be like cheating. I tested plenty of the bad ones too, because I wanted it to work in all market conditions. For example, Let's look at United Airlines. If you were to Google the stock, you'd see that it's lost 41% of its value over the last 5 years. Peaked in 2019, and it has never seen those highs since. However, according to our historical test, simply buying on green and then selling on red would have produced 148% total return with an 81% accuracy rate. So we're looking at a terrible stock here, and yet we still won 81% of the time. And keep in mind, guys, that's not using options. We're talking underlying stock. To put that in perspective, simply holding the stock would have lost you 41% on your money during that time. Not great. No one wants to lose half their account. But following Newton would have actually grown your account 148% return over 80 different signals. Not only does that flip it from a bad trade or a bad position to an absolute amazing opportunity, but you're actually beating the markets with a stock that went straight down. And we're not talking bearish signals. We're talking bullish only signals here. Now, I don't know of any other system, tool, or indicator that has the ability to do something like that. And that's why I want to share Newton with you today, because I believe it could drastically improve the way you buy and the way you sell stocks. I know I've experienced it firsthand, so whatever your goals might be, you'll have the additional support to help you achieve them. Maybe that's to grow your trading account. Maybe that's to supplement your income. Or maybe that means booking your dream vacation. Whatever it is, I believe it will be much more attainable with Newton in your corner and in your pocket, especially right now. You see, for the first time since 2019, the Fed started cutting interest rates. In 2025, there's at least 2 rate cuts scheduled. We'll see what they do, but historically speaking, the market performs extremely well in the 12 months following the cuts. Just look at the chart. The S&P 500 has posted positive returns 12 of the last 14 times that these cycles have happened. You see, rate cuts typically push money back into the stock market. Following the last year's rate cut, we saw $38.5 billion flood into stocks. According to Barron's, that was the highest influx of cash that we'd seen in months. And that's why we saw a rally in many momentum-oriented stocks, including Vistra Corp, AMD, ANET. This guy's a beast. I love me some ANET. And according to my estimates, there's roughly $6.5 trillion that could flood back into stocks. But here's the thing. That money won't flow into every stock in the market. They're not going to flow into the duds. It's going to go where it has the best chance to grow. And right now, that's into the momentum-oriented stocks. And with Newton in our corner, we'll know exactly which stocks those are. Again, even sometimes you'll find stocks that you've never even heard of. And that's why I want to share my #1 momentum stock with you today. It's not just a stock that I think will perform well in February, but across all of 2025. But before we get there, let me show you what's behind these color-coded candles. Let me show you how it works. Strangely enough, it all starts with the bars that you see down here in the lower study. Now, you may have noticed how they're perfectly in sync with the candles above. When the candles are green, those bars are green. When the candles are red, those bars are red. That's because they're actively displaying momentum levels in real time. Now, as you can imagine, that's not an easy task, but that's where our smart code comes into play. It's able to quantify momentum levels into tradable signals for us. Now, in order to do that, it has to account for several technical factors, including price acceleration, how fast is the stock exploding, the rate of change or the delta in the stock, and the variance between multiple EMAs. Now, this thing is part of the code, but I have it hidden because I don't want your charts to be all ugly and crazy. From there, it can determine if momentum levels are trading above or below the stock's normal range. Now, it sounds pretty complex, but it's easy to understand. The red bars indicate that momentum levels are trading below the average range for that stock. Now, keep in mind, we're not talking average range for the market. We're talking stock specific. So in this example, looking at Progressive, what does Progressive typically do? It's going to give you a rating based on how Progressive typically trades. And that's what causes the candles to turn red. The yellow bars indicate that momentum is trading within the average range, so a very normal move. That's when you'll see the candles at yellow. But the green bars, that indicates that momentum is trading above the average range. In other words, momentum is increasing faster than normal, and that's when the candles are green. Now, that's the secret behind Newton's accuracy. It can accurately determine if momentum levels are trading above or below average for each individual stock. For example, let's look at Adobe. Notice how all the bars were red down below. That was a clear indication that momentum levels were trading well below the stock's average. And now, as expected, shares traded lower. Under no circumstances would we want to enter this stock. However, May 19th, bars turned yellow. In this case, momentum levels had moved back to their average range. Now, when this happens, we know momentum is rising, but it's not rising high enough to support a tradable move, not just yet. That said, the yellow bars often indicate momentum is shifting from one side of the spectrum to the other. And that's exactly what happened here. The bars flipped from yellow to green, indicating momentum levels were now trading above the average range. As expected, shares climbed 40% in just 56 trading days. 5,000 bucks in the stock would have turned into $7,000. 5,000 bucks into the options would have turned into more than $23,000. Now, obviously, that's an incredible return. Not all of Newton's signals will result in a grand slam like that. Some signals, they may be smaller, some may be losers. But here's what I want you to understand. It's very difficult for a stock to move lower when momentum is above the average range. Think about it. When the stock is accelerating faster than normal, good chance that it's not going lower. And that's what makes Newton such a reliable indicator. As long as we see green, we know momentum is high enough to support a tradable move. For example, let's take a look at Costco. Notice how Newton was all red. It was an indication that momentum levels were trading below the stock's average range. Now, this is not an ideal time to open a trade. However, notice how Newton turned yellow. This told us momentum levels had moved back to their average range. Once again, a clear signal that momentum levels were rising, but not quite enough just yet to propel the stock higher. That said, the yellow bars almost always precede the green bars. Sure enough, November 10th, Newton flipped green, and as expected, shares rose 30% in just 82 trading days. Now, that's pretty incredible considering you wouldn't have had to do anything all that difficult. No deciphering chart patterns, no looking for pullbacks, no measuring momentum on your own. We just wait for Newton to turn green. Then you can open a basic trade and close it out when it flips back red. It doesn't matter if you want to trade stocks, bonds, ETFs, or Bitcoin. Newton was designed to help us pinpoint the exact day to enter and then exit the market. For example, look at one of my favorite stocks, Kava. April 26th, Newton turned green. July 10th, it turned red. Buy on green, sell on red. Now that's a 345% gain on the options there. What about American Express? Another really good stock right now. November 6th, Newton turned green. That means buy. January 16th, turned red. That means sell. 300% gains on the options there in 48 days. Then, we're not done yet. January 26th, turned green again. That means buy. April 5th, it turned red. That means sell. 263% gain on the options there. Now, 2,500 bucks into each of those trades would have turned into $19,125. Now, that's not enough to change your life overnight. It's not enough to put you retired away as a millionaire, but that's not what Newton is about. It's about isolating tickers backed with high amounts of momentum. It's about finding stronger setups more consistently. And it's about watching meaningful opportunities add up week by week. Which brings me to the stock that I'd like to share with you today. It's one that I think could perform well both in the long and the short term. Now, obviously, nothing in the market is guaranteed, so please proceed with caution at your own risk. But if you'd like the ticker symbol, I'd be happy to share it with you. The stock is Lululemon. Ticker is LULU. I love the stock. I pretty much wear Lululemon every day. I've got it head to toe right now. This stock had been in the gutter for a while, and you can see the momentum was red, but it just started flipping back green. It's a great, great setup right now. Here's some quick notes on Lulu. Let me go ahead and post this in the chat for you guys. This is my personal... Oh, I lost my camera. There we go. We're back. This is my personal take on Lulu, my personal outlook. I'm giving it a strong buy rating just based on Newton, how it looks. The current price is right around, let's see what it's at now. I'll give you the exact price right now because I think it's $390 right now. Year-end target for me is $480, so that's about a 20% gain from here, a little bit better than 20%. Really strong buy. I really like it a lot. Not only is it a strong stock, but it's in the strongest sector. So again, if you were on the morning playbook session this morning, you know that discretionary is the #1 sector right now. Seasonally, it's good. Everything looks really good. It's my top sector at the moment, and Lulu is one of the top stocks in that sector. So everything is lining up like we like with Lulu. Now, today, I want to share Newton with you, and the reason why is simple. In the months ahead, the Fed should cut rates again. We'll see. In fact, they have 2 rates already scheduled. I think each cut will unleash more of that money currently sitting on the sidelines. And in my opinion, much of that will flood towards the momentum-oriented stocks like Lululemon. And with Newton in our corner, we'll have the best chance to ride them higher. So if you'd like to add Newton to your charts this afternoon, I'd love to help you do that. You see, I put together a special package called the Newton Instant Access Guide. Inside, I'll share the smart code behind Newton, and I'll show you how to paste it into your Thinkorswim account. It should take you less than 60 seconds, and I really do mean that. You just paste the link, and then you hit OK, import. Now I'll show you how to target investment opportunities with it, swing trade opportunities, and even day trade opportunities. It works on any chart, daily, weekly, monthly, 5-minute, 1-minute, 3-minute, whatever you can even imagine. Now you see, Newton is incredibly versatile. For swing traders and investors, it will give you signals that you can hold on for a few days or even a few months. But if you prefer day trading, it can feed you quick in and out trade ideas too. It's perfect if you don't like holding trades for a long period of time. For example, look what happened back in September. If you don't remember, Nvidia sold off after the opening bell. Most folks assumed a down day was coming. However, at 10:05, Newton posted a big green candle. That's a buy signal. Like always, it was a clear indication to open a position. Sure enough, shares rallied for the next hour and 40 minutes, and anyone who bought on green and sold on red could have seen a 31% gain on the options quick day trade there. And that's no different than starting the morning with $2,000 and collecting $620 in profit by the time you eat lunch. So it doesn't matter if you're a day trader, a swing trader, or investor, Newton can help point you towards the stocks showing the highest levels of momentum. Now, before I share the sign up link, and I'm curious, we got a big room today. How many of you guys are excited to get Newton on your charts today? Let me know in the chat. Before I post that link to get Newton on your chart, I want to help you hit the ground running as quickly as possible. You see, once you have access to Newton, you'll be able to type in any ticker symbol and see whether momentum levels are high enough to support an upward move. With one glance, you'll know whether you should be targeting the stock or if you should be avoiding it. But I've done something extra special to help cut your learning curve in half. I've reformatted the smart code behind Newton and turned it into a stock scanner or screener. In short, it can scan through thousands of stocks and display the few that are showing new buy signals. This is very, very helpful. And like I said a moment ago, this helps me find stocks, tradable opportunities that I would otherwise totally miss, stocks that I've never even heard of before. Now, that means you don't have to sift through dozens of stocks just to find the one you want to trade. The scanner is programmed to do the heavy lifting for you. For example, on September 12th, VST popped up at the top of the scanner. See it right there. Had you typed in the ticker, you would have seen a fresh green candle. Sure enough, the stock climbed more than 40% in 12 trading days. Every $2,500 in the stock would have paid $1,100 in profit on the stock. Pretty good. Every $2,500 into the options, though, would have turned into more than $10,000. And that's pretty incredible considering the scanner could have pointed you towards this opportunity. You wouldn't have had to dig through dozens of stocks to find a worthwhile setup. Have had to eyeball different chart patterns. You wouldn't have needed to be stuck in front of your computer all morning long. Just point, click, and trade. Like I said, Newton takes the technical out of the technical trading. It does a lot of the heavy lifting for you. And it can transform your charts from a hard to follow mess to a steady stream of instant opportunities here. Again, buy on green, sell on red. Now, it's worth mentioning that Newton will only pair with Thinkorswim. It's the only platform that can support all of its capabilities. Now, if you don't have Thinkorswim yet, don't worry. You can download it for free. In fact, that's what most of my team has done. They use Newton on Thinkorswim, but they'll still place their trades to their brokerage of their choice. Now, while I think you'll find it very user-friendly, I'd never just give you the indicator and wish you the best of luck. I want to take you through by the hand and show you how to use it. I want you to have the same experience that I've had with it. That's why all the Newton users will be invited to our next live trading session. This is where we'll dive into day trade and swing trade opportunities together. I'll also show you how to use Newton to trade it to the downside. So some of you guys like trading short or trading puts. I'll show you how it can work for that as well. As you might expect, it works just as well if you like to trade short. In my opinion, there's no better way to level up. If you've attended any of my training classes before, you know we almost always find some worthwhile opportunities. And here's what a few of the top attendees said. Alicia said 300% on Apple. Howard made it 160% on the calls. David said, I love you, man. Free trades are awesome. I'm on target to make over $500,000 this year between two of Graham's programs. David, that is outstanding. Greg says, we'll close out tomorrow on SMCI for 100% gain. That's $2,650 in profit for him. Woohoo. Howard says, I was a little apprehensive because of the Fed meeting, but I'm glad that I followed you. Got 2 contracts, made a profit of $540. So if you're committed to taking your trading skills to the next level, and you're the only person that can make that decision, I'm committed to helping you get there. And to prove that to you, I've done something very special today. You see, Newton typically retails for $14.97. That's $1,497. Now, if you've been to our webinars before, you know that most of our offerings start at that price and only go up from there. But to show you, I'm committed to helping you reach your goals, I'm going to slash the price in half, 50% off, half off. So instead of saying $1,500, you'll be able to secure access for just $749 today. But that's not all. If you join today during this webinar, right now, you'll also be automatically upgraded to lifetime access. That means no subscription fees, no annual renewals, no recurring charges. Your subscription's never going to be canceled or ended. You get to keep it for lifetime. That also means you'll be able to attend all the future training sessions, plus you'll automatically receive any updates or additions we make to Newton at no additional cost. So if you'd like to get your hands on Newton, get your credit card ready, because today you can lock in lifetime access for just $749. Simply go to prosperitypub.com/new, or you can click that link that Sarah just posted in the chat for you guys to get it secured today. Now, if you prefer to talk to someone in person, give us a call, 321-888-3962, and then press 1. Ask for Caitlin, ask for Ashley, ask for Chad. The team is standing by and ready to help. Now, once you fill out the order form, you'll be able to get Newton up and running within just a few minutes. Like I said, it should only take about 60 seconds to install it on your thinkorswim platform. That said, if you need extra help, I've got you covered. This week, we're hosting several live white glove install sessions, and during those sessions, our experts will happily walk you through the install process click by click. We do CS Live. I think they're every single day. Or if you have any questions, they can do that white glove installation for you. Now, dates and times to join will be posted inside your members area. So if you'd like to secure Newton half off, go to prosperitypub.com/new, or just click that link in the chat. I believe it'll help make a huge impact on your trading, regardless of what the market does next. You see, Newton works well in both directions. Not only can it signal stocks on the cusp of moving higher, it can also show us when stocks are on the verge of moving lower too. And looking back, it accurately signaled every major crash we've seen in the last 5 years, including right before the COVID crash to give us that warning signal, bear market of 2022 gave us that signal, bear scare of 2023, and it even warned us of both major pullbacks we saw just last year. In my opinion, there's no better tool for navigating the markets, because it was designed to help us ride all of the highs and avoid the lows too. Or if you want to, Omar, see you asking in the chat, you could trade puts there. When momentum is below average, you can trade it short. So if you haven't clicked that link in the chat, you want to do that right now. And after you fill out your order form page, after you lock in this lifetime deal on Newton, do not close the next page. It's going to automatically refresh you to a new page where I have something very special to share with you. It's a way to trade Newton alongside of me using a world famous option strategy. Even in all of the chaos, the two have helped me post several needle moving winners while limiting our downside risk as well, including a 93% winner in just 3 days, 100% winner in 4 days, 132% winner in 7 days. These are real trades that I've actually taken and shared with members. $1,000 into any one of those would have easily covered the cost of Newton. And today you'll have the chance to target similar opportunities on a weekly basis with me. So if you're interested, I'll share more details after you fill out the order form. Again, simply go to prosperitypub.com/new or click that link in the chat to get started. If you have any questions, give us a call, 321-888-3962. The team is standing by and ready to speak with you. In the meantime, let me cover some frequently asked questions, and then I'm going to pop into the chat to answer all of your questions. And I know we have a ton. I'm watching it going crazy right now. Question number 1, what time frames work best for Newton? Well, for swing trading, I prefer the 1 day time frame. Honestly, that's what I prefer the most, is just the 1 day, the daily chart. But it also works well in 2 day and 4 hour time frames. That's going to be a little bit quicker trades, 4 hours. That's a really sweet spot as well. For day trading, I prefer the 1 hour, the 5 minute, and the 1 minute time frames. My favorite of those 3 is the 5 minutes. So if I'm going to look to day trade a stock, first I'm going to look for a stock that it's green on the daily charts. I'm going to look for it trending higher that day, and then I'm going to flip to a 5 minute chart and trade it there. Question number 2, are there any additional fees? No, guys, once you join today, no extra fees, no renewals, no BS. Once you purchase, it's yours forever. And if we have any other upgrades, you're going to get that for free. In fact, I just upgraded this scanner just a couple weeks back. Folks who bought got that for free. Question number 3, is there any sort of guarantee here? Of course there is, guys. If you've followed me for any amount of time, you know that everything I offer has a full money back guarantee. I want this to be a mutually beneficial deal where you feel like you got a lot of value here, get your money's worth. So here's the deal. I want you to use Newton for the next 7 days. If it does not help you make better decisions, if it doesn't help make you a better trader or find better opportunities, I'll just buy it back from you. No questions asked. It's all part of my industry-leading buyback guarantee. Simply call our team within the next 7 days and we'll get you squared away. Although I don't expect that to happen because there is no tool, no system, or indicator that's had a bigger impact on my trading. And I'm confident you'll share the same opinion once you start using it. If things go as I expect, I would not be surprised if you could cover the membership costs in a short order. Of course, I can't promise any future returns, but I've seen that happen many, many times. Greg said my first trade exceeded the program cost 3 times. Thanks again, Graham. Howard says 2 calls were over $5,000 in profit, which would more than pay the lifetime, which he highly recommends. Ken says I've made profits much greater than the cost of my lifetime membership within just a couple of weeks. Howard here says I took 3 of the recommendations and closed all 3 with a profit. Well worth the cost. You will recoup your cost very quickly. So if you haven't yet filled out the order form, go to prosperitypub.com/new, get Newton on your charts today, or give us a call, 321-888-3962. Again, when you do, you'll be one step closer to joining some of my most successful students across my services. Q here said, no one will want to take the refund. I'm in VIP and love taking in profits week after week. The alerts are very clear and easy to follow, good for all stages of traders. Lefty said he's averaging $750 per week for the last 3 weeks. Michael said he did his first trade on Apple, $1,800 in profit. That'd buy you Newton about twice over. Richie here says, with just one of the trade recommendations, I'm up 400% in 7 trading days with over $1,000 in profits. Richard, up 97% in a single day. Ben, first 2 trades, both 100% gains. Now, today is your chance to become the next success story, to take your first step and go to prosperitypub.com/new or click that link in the chat. Now, drum roll, we have a special bonus for you guys. The #1 Newton stock for February. I've also just uploaded a brand new report inside your members area. Inside, it breaks down my entire bullish thesis on Lululemon and why I believe it will be a strong play for 2025. Now, normally we'd sell this report inside of my Exotics Club membership, extra charge, extra fees. But today, for the new Newton members, you can get it free of charge. If you're currently a Newton member, you will get it free of charge too. That's one of the benefits with today's lifetime deal. Once you're locked in, when we do fun stuff like this, when we throw in bonuses, we're not charging an extra $100 for it. It's yours free. So guys, go ahead and join now. Save yourself some money, plus get that automatic upgrade to lifetime access. You can get it up and running on your charts in about a minute or 2, and then the signals will be there already spoon-fed for you. Now, I'm going to open the chat here and answer some questions. I know we've had a lot of questions, a lot of really positive feedback here.
And I can help you with some of those questions I've been.
Oh, thank you, Sarah. That would be great.
Sure. All right. Let me ask you some questions here. For those who are in Canada, they do not have Thinkorswim. How would they go about accessing this Newton indicator?
Yeah, unfortunately, that's still something we don't have any control over what Schwab and Thinkorswim does with the different locations. You maybe give them a call, see if they can figure out an alternative for you. The reason we have to run it on Thinkorswim is just because the way the system works, it needs to run on Thinkorswim. We've tried to replicate it on TradingView, and we weren't able to finalize it. But again, hopefully Thinkorswim will work through that here soon. But for those in Canada, I apologize for the time being. It's out of my control.
Right.
But maybe give them a call and see if they have any alternatives for you.
All right. Awesome. Now, with it being something on the computer, can you also get this Newton indicator on your phone, or is it only on the computer?
So that's a good question. My experience that it's only worked best on the computer platform. I'm sure as Thinkorswim pushes through new updates, it will work seamlessly over time on your phone. But right now, it works best on the computer platform. It does. You can add it to your phone, but it's not as pretty and as concise as on your computer.
Yeah, I can imagine. All right. Well, what is the difference between Newton and Apex? Because
good question. Apex is more of a longer term indicator. We look at the weekly charts with Apex. Apex is really good again for a longer time frame. Newton, and I should also mention Apex is a price indicator, so it looks at price performance week over week. to give us buy and sell signals. It's been great. It's been tremendous. We actually have a trade in Meta going on right now with Apex. If you guys want a free ticker, Meta is the trade that we actively have that I really like right now. This one, however, is calculating momentum. So it's not looking at price action so much. It's looking at the momentum or the relative move of a stock and if that's above average or below average. Additionally, Newton works on all time frames. Apex is a weekly indicator. It won't show up on a daily, won't show up on an intraday chart. Newton, however, is custom coded to work for all time frames. So if you're a day trader, works for you. If you're a swing trader, works for you. If you're a long-term investor, works for you.
Okay, awesome. So if they do have some of your other indicators, can they use Newton to complement them?
Absolutely. And if you have any of, Roger's indicators, Lance's indicators, they all kind of work together. What you can do actually with a couple indicators that you really like, this is what I do. I just like to filter out my trades. So let's say Newton has 5 signals today. I might go look at Apex and see is that a good Apex buy, or I might look at the some of our other indicators we offer here, Prosperity Pub, and say, oh, if any marry up again, we like to see things line up, and if that's the case, then that's a really high conviction buy signal.
Sorry, the chat here I had a question and it disappeared.
That's all good.
All right. Well, next question I have over here is with the Newton indicator, does it work on all time frames?
Yep.
Like 5-minute chart?
Yep, it works on all time frames. I got to see Lee's asking her, does it work on penny stocks? It works on penny stocks, works on futures, works on Forex. What else is there? Anything you can type into Thinkorswim, it'll work. So you type in any ticker and it'll pull up Newton on your charts for you.
Okay. And let's see here. When it comes to choosing the option with using this indicator, does it help you choose, which expiration date or the strike price?
No, but I do have training for that in the members portal as well as our full options guide.
Perfect. Okay. And then
It's not a MACD. Someone's asking if this is MACD. Not a MACD.
And then could you just repeat real quick the difference between Apex and Newton? I know they do 2 different things.
Yeah, Apex is a weekly. It looks at the weekly candles price action for entries. It's more of a longer term time frame. Typically, Newton measures momentum of a stock, basically the rate of change in a stock, if it's increasing faster than normal or if it's sinking faster than normal. That's where you get those green and red signals. Newton works on every time frame. Nathan's got a good question here. Says, I've been loving Newton. Quick question. Does Newton maintain 80% success rate on 5-minute chart? Green bar signals. Do you go off the first green on 5? Nathan, that's a great question. The testing I showed you here, the data I showed you here was all based on the daily charts. It was funny though. I did the same testing, Nathan, on the weekly and the I believe it was 5-minute. I don't want to misspeak, but I tested 3 total time frames, and it was pretty crazy, Nathan, that a lot of times you'd see, like, let's say Lululemon is an 81% win rate on the daily. If I flipped to weekly, it was like an 80% win rate. I flipped to intraday, it was like 82%. A lot of the stocks were like pretty much the same win rate regardless of the time frame. So that was really cool to see. Now, that said, the data I gave you today was all based on the daily. And I'll show you guys during one of the Tuesday training sessions how I like to trade Newton.
Awesome. Let's see here. Any other questions, guys? If we missed it, just please retype it because there's a lot of you guys in here.
Marge, great question. Scanner, does it work in all time frames? Scanner works on the daily time frame. That's just the way it's built. So what I like to do, Marge, if a stock is flipping green on the day and I want to day trade it, that still works out great. I want a stock that has momentum on the daily as well as intraday. So it ends up working out really good. If it was like Marge, if the scanner was a 5-minute scanner, there would be so many stocks going crazy. It'd be too much to handle.
And then does it show volume?
It does not show volume. No, you can add volume to your chart easily. I have it hidden.
Yeah, because you don't want too much stuff on your chart.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, only so much you can handle. Will it work if Tom Busby's roadmap is already installed? Yes, Dave, it will work even if you have roadmap. It's a cool tool that Tom has. Actually, fun fact, Dave. When I first got into trading, I was 15 years old, and Tom Busby was my first trading coach. So I learned roadmap. That was my first thing I learned. So that's funny. You bring that up, Dave.
And Omar's asking if you make any updates for improvements. So if you do make an update, do they get a new code to install?
Yep, I always hit in Thinkorswim. I always hit update for everyone. Now, for whatever reason, it doesn't always update for everyone. So I do post the updated code in the members portal, send everyone an email letting them know. So if they didn't get that auto update, they can easily just paste in that link again.
Gotcha. And just
What's
go
that?
ahead.
Sorry.
I was gonna say, just to reiterate in regards to this is an indicator for those of you asking if it's going to tell you which option, strike price and expiration to choose. That's where he has training to come in, because education over everything is super important, so you can make a sound decision.
Yep.
As to which one to trade.
Tim is asking, does it work on crypto? It does work on crypto.
And then what's the average holding time for a green signal for the stock?
It's just going to vary, Lee. I can't give you an exact average hold time because again, things change. The thing that's really important is that it's going to tell you basically how long is the momentum elevated for. So if it's 1 week, that's great, you know, but it's going to tell you when to buy and when to sell versus like Apex will give you an average hold time. Newton is much more price sensitive with the momentum, what's actually going on day to day. Nathan, I've been mainly using it on daily. Would love to use it for day trading. Oh yeah, Nathan, we'll cover that in the training. I typically use it on the daily as well, but sometimes I have some fun. I don't like, Nathan, I'm not a huge day trader. I don't really like to sit in front of the screen and watch it, but on some days where I have the time, it is a lot of fun to day trade with. Yes, all of the upgrades will be included for free, and even when we do things like this one, put a little stock report, we just add it to the members portal for free. No extra cost on your end. All right, what was the last update was on a scanner a few weeks back. Next training is not this coming Tuesday, but I think the following one. I don't want to misspeak, but I've already worked with Deanna to get it on the calendar. Again, I'll be doing those Tuesday training sessions at 10 a.m. Eastern. We'll be rotating different strategy and option selection trainings, and Newton will be one of those.
Right. Omar's asking, how much time per day do you usually trade?
I usually am at the computer all day, every day. It's also like my job. You know, I'm still working here. I work in finance and investing industry, so I'm always trying to learn more and be on top of my game. So that's for me. With that said, if I were say retired and I wanted to trade this, I would probably look in the mornings, place my trades, and just check back the next morning to see if we're still long or out.
Gotcha. Now, if one is not at the computer all day, do they get any type of alerts, or do they have to be at the computer to see those buy sells?
That's a good question, Lee. So there's not going to be alerts sent to you. You can, however, set up in Schwab or in Thinkorswim for it to automatically text you if a new stock is added to the scanner. And something I should mention is that the scanner works great on your phone. So if you're not at the computer, you can always just pull up the scanner on your phone, see if there's anything new, and it'll just tell you if a stock is green or red.
Now, for your trainings, are they recorded, and is it that in the members area for them to always go back
Yep.
to refer to?
Yep. Recorded and in the members area. Yes.
Perfect.
Can I please give the momentum stock for February? Annette, it was Lululemon, ticker LULU.
I'll paste that in there.
Awesome. Thank you. Now, I do have to run here in a few minutes. So if you have any other question, guys, I'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise, I got to get back to it. I've been speaking for about 2 hours now, so my voice needs a little break too.
And you got to get kava for lunch.
That's right. Oh, yeah. Sarah, have you ever had kava?
I have not. No.
Oh, it's the best.
Heard about it though.
Yeah, it's so good. Awesome. Thank you, Annette.
All right. Thank you guys. Well, Graham, I think we're good with questions. I
Awesome.
can explain the warranty and handle the other questions.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. Hope you had some fun.
Yes.
Catch
thank
y'all later.